All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a huge concept, one that shaped our laws and morals for literally centuries. We're talking about natural law. It's this powerful idea that there's a kind of universal rule book for humanity. But here's the catch, it isn't written down anywhere. The idea is that it's built right into our very nature.
So let's just jump right in with a massive question, one that philosophers have been chewing on for thousands of years. Are some things just wrong, no matter where you are or who you are? Is it possible that some actions are just fundamentally right or wrong, no matter the culture, the time period, or the place? Well, for centuries, a whole lot of history's greatest minds have answered that question with a resounding yes. They argue that the answer lies in what they call natural law. This idea of a universal moral code, a set of rules that's just woven into the fabric of what it means to be human. Okay, so this is the really crucial point. This isn't a law that a government passes or something you'd find in a legal textbook. Nope. The idea is that it's a law we can all figure out for ourselves, simply by using our own reason, just by thinking about what it actually means to be human.
An idea this big doesn't just pop up out of thin air. It was actually developed over centuries in what you could almost think of as an intellectual relay race. Each generation of thinkers kind of picked up the baton and ran with it, taking the whole concept in a new direction.
And what's so fascinating is just watching how this idea evolved. It starts way back in ancient Greece with Aristotle. He argued that our purpose, our telos, as he called it, is to live a life guided by reason. Then you've got the Stoics in the Roman Empire, and they took that idea and blew it up, making it universal. They said, hey, there's a moral order for everyone. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and you have St. Thomas Aquinas, who just brilliantly weaves it into Christian theology. And on the final handoff, that goes to Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke, who turned it into the very foundation for our modern ideas about human rights.
And the Roman statesman Cicero, he just nailed the Stoic view with this quote, "True law is right reason in agreement with nature." What he's saying is that real law, true law, is universal, it's unchanging, it's everlasting. And that single idea would echo through legal thinking for, well, thousands of years.
And this, right here, is where an abstract philosophy has massive real-world consequences. Think about the American Declaration of Independence, when it talks about truths being self-evident and rights being unalienable, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is pure natural law language. That's a direct line from thinkers like John Locke straight into the founding documents of a nation. So if this law isn't written down in some book, how in the world are we supposed to find it? How does this actually work?
Right, so how is natural law discovered? Well, it's not about digging up some hidden scroll or decoding an ancient text. The whole idea is that the method is accessible to absolutely everyone, using the one tool we all have in our toolbox, our ability to reason.
So the process is supposed to be pretty logical. Step one, you observe human nature. You just look at what defines us as people. What are our basic drives? What do we all have in common? Step two, from that, you identify basic goods, the things that are absolutely essential for us to flourish. We're talking about things like life, truth, community. And then, step three, you derive moral principles from those goods. So, for example, if we can all agree that life is a basic good, well, then it makes perfect sense that we should preserve it. See how that works? It's a chain of reason. And this is a super important point. In theory, any rational person can grasp these principles no matter what their religious beliefs are. Now, it's true, a lot of religious traditions have embraced natural law. The Catholic Church is a big example. But the foundation is supposed to be universal reason. The idea is that you don't need faith to get there, just clear, logical thinking. Okay, but as soon as you say universal reason, a huge problem pops up, right? This is probably the biggest challenge for the whole theory. If anyone can figure it out, who gets to have the final say? Seriously, if it's all based on reason, why on earth doesn't everyone agree on what natural law commands? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It gets us right to the core of the tension here. This big struggle over who gets to be the official interpreter. And what you see are basically two main camps that claim the right to interpret this unwritten rulebook. On one side, you've got religious authorities. The Catholic Church's magisterium is a perfect example. They say they combine reason with deep theological tradition. And on the other side, you've got secular authorities, courts, legal scholars, philosophers. Their approach is all about reasoned debate, legal precedent, and trying to find some kind of moral consensus. And believe me, these different interpretations aren't just academic squabbles. They lead to really profound, real-world disagreements on some of the most sensitive issues we face today. We're talking about bioethics, capital punishment, sexual ethics, even the very definition of human rights law. So, after all of this, what's the big takeaway here? Why should any of us care about this ancient idea today? Well, it really boils down to this. Natural law's greatest strength is also its biggest weakness. On the one hand, its strength is that it gives us a foundation for universal human rights. It says our dignity doesn't come from a government, it comes from something we all share, our human nature. But on the other hand, its weakness? Actually getting everyone to agree on what our shared nature demands? Well, that's incredibly difficult in a world as diverse as ours. Look, in the end, whether you buy into the whole idea or not, natural law is still this powerful framework. It forces us to grapple with that fundamental question. Are there objective moral truths out there just waiting for us to discover them? It gives us a way to debate justice, rights, and what it really means to live a good life. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. Maybe the constant arguments over what it all means aren't a sign that the theory has failed. Maybe it's just a reflection of how incredibly hard it is to apply timeless principles to our messy, changing world. So the question for all of us is, does this search for a universal law ultimately bring us together, or does it just give us new reasons to draw lines in the sand?